2 weeks, 3 weeks. All right.
Well, I do. I did them myself.
Oh, you did them yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever went to a salon where they actually did it? So did they dip your nails, or did they actually dipped it into the powder? Okay. So we're going to talk about what nail resin systems are, how they work, and debunk some myths too, because this is something that I hear all the time. Well, dip nails are better. Acrylic hurts my nails. Acrylic tears up my nails. Okay? And today we're going to talk about why that is a statement that if your client says that to you, you need to educate them. Okay? What? What? Say what? Dip is acrylic. Imagine. Okay. So we are now on our resin systems here. The first thing we're going to talk about, first of all, why do you need to learn this? All right. So first of all, you need to learn about resin systems because right now they are probably one of the more popular services in the nail salon. So when I say resin systems, what am I actually talking about? Dip. The dip systems, okay? Now, what is resin? Does anybody know? When I say resin, is it gel? Is it it's an epoxy? Epoxy? Okay,
That's what I think.
well, when you think resin, right? Because you're thinking about, you know what you're thinking about? You're thinking about this new crafting thing that they're doing with the resin systems, and they're resin and they're pouring it, resin pouring it, and then curing it with the light and making ashtrays and stuff out. You've seen them on, it's all over the TikTok. All over the TikTok, right? So, and I think it's pretty cool, but when I look at it, all I see is UV gel. I see UV gel. Matter of fact, they sell a nice little UV gel light with the system at Hobby Lobby.
Yep. Now they make resin that doesn't require UV gel, but it's
Yeah, the air dries. It takes forever to cure, right? All right. So we're not talking about that resin. We're talking about different kind of resin. We're going to talk about what that is too. Okay. So, so we're going to define what nail resin systems are, and we're also going to talk about how we use them to strengthen the nail, because you can extend a dip nail, but at the end of the day, that's a lot of work to do just to pour some acrylic on top of it. So most of the time, people are doing these dip systems with just overlays, okay? So we're going to start with short nails, and we'll work our way up, and we're going to start our overlays with dip, because that is the easiest thing that you can do. And a child can dip as long as they can polish. So again, this is why you learn how to polish before you do anything else, because if you can't polish a nail without getting this glue on the skin, then you can't do dip. No one's going to like your dip nails, okay? All right, so we're going to talk about the advantages of using it too, because some people swear by it. To me, and somebody might get mad, just full disclosure, I am live on all of our platforms, okay? To me, it's for the unskilled nail tech, okay? If you rely on it 100% but hold up now. If you rely on it 100% as far as your skills are concerned, then we need to work on it. Okay, your skills, we need to work. You should be able to do acrylic nails. You should be able to do all of these services as a nail technician. However, you can make some money doing this service because it's so fast, so easy, not very expensive, but from what I'm hearing, it's just as expensive nowadays as a gel manicure, if not more, okay? And why is that? It's because it's trendy. It's new. But we're going to talk about why it ain't new in a second, all right? Because it's been around since before you were born, all right? Me and you, we close, not too close, but closer. All right. All right, so why do we need to learn this stuff? Again, it is a great option for your clients for overlaying their natural nails, okay? And repairing breaks on clients with natural nails. Not everybody wears acrylic on their nails, or not everybody extends their nails. Some of these lucky heifers can grow their nails long and beautiful and not ever have to wear acrylic on their hands. We don't like those girls. No, we don't like. No, I'm just kidding. We love them. Because they're not our, like, client if they're not getting their nails done, right? They're usually the ones that want to do their own, polish their own, because they've got pretty nails, right? They know how to do all that. But sometimes you will get that one in a lifetime client that has long, beautiful, natural nails, and she lets you manicure them and take care of them. And what happens when she breaks one? Are you just going to slap some acrylic on top of that beautiful, thin, strong, natural nail that this client has? 9 times out of 10, they're not going to want you to do that. So there are ways, and these are old school ways that we used to repair our natural nails, because we haven't been wearing acrylic nails for that long. Remember, history of nails, we started wearing acrylics in the 60s and the 70s around-ish. All right? So what did we do with our nails when we broke them back in the day? All kinds of things. Tea bags, little pieces of silk, paper. Try newspaper. Phone book paper. Y'all don't remember the phone book? Used to get a new one every year, about this thick. My number was unlisted. Okay? But yeah, we used to, Bible paper, cigarette paper, anything very thin, okay, that you could easily lay down some glue, lay that paper down, let it dry, and then you could file on it and just like it was a natural nail, okay? Those are old school ways of doing things. Now we have other ways that we do it, but those ways are not gone. You may end up needing to use a patch here and there, or some type of resin system, silk wrap, fiberglass wrap. Me personally, I love fiberglass strands. Okay, so strong, so natural looking, makes the nail look very thin. But nowadays we've got these colored acrylic systems to dip nails with. So let me take y'all a little blast to the past. Back in the day, we had a company that actually created the dip systems. But the problem was back then, and this company is still around today, the problem is back then they didn't have what we have now, and that's all these color options. All they had was pink, white, clear. The name of that company was Back Scratchers. Such a clever name. It's so sad that they're not like huge, because that's the perfect name for a nail company, right? Back Scratchers. And they are still around. If you Google them, you can find them. They're still around. I think they finally, picked up on the whole colored acrylic craze, right? So back then we did a lot of pink and white. So you would dip it all in pink, and then you would do the white, and you would put the white just enough to where it gave you a little fat round tip instead of a nice crispy one. It was not as pretty as the things we do with it today. All right, so things have changed a bit, needless to say, as they always do. Now, there's different ways. I want you guys to know there's stages to this. Today, what we're going to talk about is resin with dip powder, okay? As we go along and we get into gel, there's my favorite way to do dip, and that's with gel and pouring dip powder over into it. But that's a different phase, all right? We'll get there soon enough. But the traditional way of doing dip is to use resin, or whatever they're calling it in their actual kit. So what are some companies that you can name off the top of your head that are known for their dip systems? Because this is what clients are going to ask you. Kiara Sky has one now. As a matter of fact, let's just put it out there. Everyone has one now. OPI, they have their trios with the matching polish, gel, so regular polish, gel polish, and a duo. And then if you buy the matching acrylic powder, you get the price of one. So nowadays you can get the trio, 3-in-1s, for $13. Back in the day, we were paying $20 for a bottle of gel. Now it's gotten to that cheap because everybody has one now, okay? But before everybody had one, there was only one. And your clients are going to this day, even though nobody uses that brand exclusively anymore, is going to ask you, do you do SNS? Well, maybe you don't do SNS, but you do Nitro or OPI or Kiara Sky, because they all have a dipping system now, okay? And in those dipping systems, you are usually going to find when things are a system, that means that they work together, right? So let's look at, for instance, let's look at SNS. Let's look at SNS. Let's look at their system because I want you guys to see how they market themselves. First of all, this is their website. What do you see there? What pops up? It's going to recycle again. But what I saw just a second ago was something about health. The healthy nails and the dip system, their product being more, we believe in health, that health and beauty are one. Dip powders nourish and support nail health while giving you the richest colors and long-lasting shine. Boy, if that ain't an AI-generated copy I ain't ever seen in my life, because that is so not true. Some of these companies will say that they're organic. To me, if something's organic, that means I can eat it. I should be able to eat it. I can't eat acrylic powder. There's no acrylic powder that's seeping into your skin or into your nail plate and making you healthy. Okay, so it's a little bit of false advertising here or misleading education. Also, clients will, like I said earlier, they think that it's not acrylic that they're getting on their nails. Why? Because they don't see a brush and liquid. But their product is still there. Okay, the product's still there. We'll talk about that more. But there's your SNS, right? Your healthy nail system. And if you go to their collection, let's see, not collections. Let's do the sets, kits. So usually in their kits, they have 5-6 different things. Here's a student kit right here. Okay, this was $243. Every single thing up on here we're going to talk about real quick, because what you guys need to understand is that you already have all this stuff. Now, I'm all about supporting brands and buying products, but I'm here to teach you, all right? We have consumers that watch me, people who are nail technicians, clients that watch me. This isn't for them. This is for you. Okay. When you look at all these products here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different things, all right, that you need to have in order to do these systems, right? This is a $243 kit. So let's talk about one of the first things you see here, where you got all these different acrylic powders. One of them's French white, natural pink, natural set, natural fill, sunscreen. I guess they're colors, right? Something that you guys need to know about dip powder. The difference between dip powder and, say, colored acrylic is very different. I know that they're colored, all right? Because here's the dip powder right here. I put these out for you guys to see. These powders are just like acrylic powders, right? They're powdery. But these have a different consistency than your typical Trash and Tricks. I meant Glam and Glitz. Trash and Tricks. Let me not do that. That's not nice. Let's talk about that real quick. I want to show an example. That's not Trash and Tricks. Let me get Trash and Tricks. All right. Here we go. This is a good one right here. All right. So, dip powders are not all the same. They're not all the same. This powder's consistency, meaning how it pours, versus this one is very different. Okay, first of all, there's a reason why they call this Trash and Tricks. No shade. I like Glam and Glitz though, for real. For certain things. But for dipping and pouring, You can't do it. This is for dipping, which can also be used for colored acrylic, laying it down on the nail with monomer. You can still use this, right? The consistency of this versus this right here is like confectioner sugar. You ever tried to pour confectioner sugar? You can't actually pour confectioner sugar. That's why you got to sift it, right? Because it's so soft and fine that it sticks together. Think of this as more like fine grained salt or sugar. Like it, you know how it pours, you can pour it out. This, if I try to pour it, it's gonna go and then just plow, fall on top of my nail. And it may or may not absorb into the product that you put on it, but 9 times out of 10, it's not gonna do it. Some of these, someone said on here that some dip powders marble really bad. Any pigmented product, I have never come across one that didn't marble. You got to think about, and in some way, I've even had my beloved Tammy Taylor acrylic powder marble on me. Okay, and what that means is the marbling usually comes from having too wet of a bead or wet of a brush and picking up a lot of product at one time, and one part of the product is drier than the other part of the product, so it tends to swirl. Okay, but it's really not much you can do about that outside of mixing your product, shaking it and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, remember that not all colored acrylics are the same. Okay, so if it's not a dip powder with the consistency that you can physically pour like sugar versus confectioner sugar style, then you don't want to use it for dip. Okay, so don't forget that. Now on here they've got a bunch of different bottles of stuff. All right, so the first one, gel base. Well, first of all, let's be clear here. Is this gel or is it not gel? How do you know by looking at these bottles? Let's look at the bottles.
Because it's a clear bottle.
Correct. Anytime you see a clear bottle with something wiggling and jiggling in it, it's not gel. Why? Because if light can penetrate the bottle, then it's going to harden on the inside. So this, first of all, very misleading. It's not gel. But why are they saying gel base, gel top, gellus base? Yeah, gel. Why are they saying that? It's marketing. It's marketing. One of my favorite phrases, may the best marketer win. Because everybody has a dip system now. Look, let me point out something real quick. Y'all see this? Y'all see this may the best marketer win showdown? So who do you think makes S&S's products? The same people that make Nitro's products. Do y'all see this? They're identical. The only difference is the stamp on the top. So I can bet you $1 million that the company that makes this, because you can go through the nail supply store right now and find 7. I can name a few of my nail school friends who got this exact same product. And how do I know? Because it's literally the same packaging, same consistency. The only difference is the labeling. Okay? So a lot of our products come from the same place. Okay? In China, or one of the only three acrylic companies in the United States of America. Okay? So think about it kind of like drug dealing. Okay? You got your big guys that only sell, I just got finished watching Breaking Bad, so you have to excuse me, okay? For the 3rd time in my life. I love that show. Anyway, so you got your big drug dealers that sell, thousands of pounds. They're not breaking it down into little containers like this. But then those people sell it to the middleman now there's like 50 of them. Then they sell it to the little other ones, and the other ones, and then finally they sell it to me, and I sell it in 5 pound increments because I don't have the money to buy like Tammy Taylor does, size amounts of acrylic that could fill this room. Okay, I can't afford that. So that's the only difference. You got your smaller companies who can only buy small batches, and then you got the large. But at the end of the day, it's all the same. Support who you want to support. Support the people that support you. Man, they're giving you education, teaching you that my products come from the same place these come from. Support your teacher, okay? That's how we keep these lights on. All right. So with that being said, marketing. This is not gel, but how can they write gel on the packaging if it's not gel? How can they do that? How is that even okay? I'm about to blow your mind real quick. All of these things are chemically the same. They're all acrylates, right down to the glue. So if acrylic is gel, gel is acrylic, acrylic is glue, glue is gel, and all of them are really technically all the same thing that works together, and why they can all mold together to form this nail. Are they lying? Not really, but it's kind of misleading. Makes it sound like S&S is better than a resin system that uses glue. At the end of the day, that's exactly what gel base is, a thick glue. Gel top is a medium glue. The gellus base is a fine glue. So that they can build this nail with all these different things. Now, seal or dry, what is that? It's literally glue dryer spray, the same stuff you spray on the nail when your glue won't stick, right? Brush on glue, what is that? Brush on glue, okay? Which is exactly probably the same thing that's in the bottle of gel top. They probably just put another name on it and it's the same product. Brush saver, that's acetone in a bottle because your brush gets all clumpy. You're paying $7 for a bottle of acetone that's blue in a bottle. And then finally oil. So that whole thing right there, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little 2-ounce bottles of powder, and then a bunch of stuff that you already have if you're a nail tech, guarantee you. So like I said, these products these systems they're a little overinflated in price, if you ask me. And if you are trained to know what these things are, then you know that you can go right to the store, get you one bottle of my resin is called Duo Resin because it's base and top. And we use it for stones. And we use it to glue on tips. Why? Because all of these bottles right here are identical and you can use them the same for the same thing. The only difference is one is thicker, more viscous, one is thinner than the other. They're all super glue in a bottle. Y'all need to get on it. It's 5 bottles of super glue right here on this table with 5 different colored tops on it. And at the end of the day, if you use this system, if you've ever used it, you only get about halfway through before all of them are dry and you can't use them anymore. You got to throw everything away. Then they say you to refill bottles. So, like I said, my job is to teach you so that you don't get bamboozled later on down the line, okay? So, those are what your resin systems look like, okay? Now, let me get out of this. I thought I was getting out of it. There we go. All right. So that's S&S. But remember, we talked about there's so many more, right? All right, let me make this big. Oops, wrong one. Sorry. Went the wrong way. There we go. All right. Now, moving right along. because I want you guys to be able to do a few of these, a couple of them today. So this is how they traditionally dip. Okay, can y'all see that? Yeah. This is how they traditionally dip. They put the powder in this pan and then shove the client's finger in it if they're trying to get like a French tip. That's how you did the French tip. And it was a very wide French tip. It didn't have a very nice, crisp smile line in it. So, you know, to me, it's a very basic nail look. All right. So what are nail resins? Well, nail resins they're rarely used alone. Why? Because they're simply nail glue. They don't give you the reinforcement that you need to make the nail last. All right. So you need to add something along with it when you're doing the dips. And that's adding the powder to it. So what is a cyanacrylate? If you look at any glue, okay, and I behoove you to do this. Look on any glue, whether it's our nail school glue, the KDS glue, Gorilla Glue, Super Glue, it's a cyanacrylate. I don't care what kind of glue it is. When it's those super glue types or the ones that have the odor type we use. So they're all cyanacrylates. What is the difference and why can you say, oh, okay, well, this one is for this type of use and this one is for this type of use? The difference is going to be the viscosity. Like I said, that word viscosity means thickness. So when you go to Lowe's, and because I've seen glues like Gorilla Glue sitting on nail tech's tables before. It's a little embarrassing, but I mean, I've used it before. I was like, oh, what's this thing? It's super glue, which is the same thing that we use with nail glue, is super glue, okay? The difference is that viscosity and how you use it. So if you go and get that gel Gorilla Glue from Home Depot or Hobby Lobby or something, right? The thickness of it causes it to take a lot more time to dry or cure, right? So what about really thin nail glues? They usually, like when you put that glue on there, boop, it immediately, right? So the thickness or viscosity will affect how long it takes for it to dry or cure, okay? Also, how heavy it is on the nail. Do you think you could take nail glue that's in one of those little tubes that we use for nails? I keep pointing back there because there's a big old bottle of them a display of them over there. But do you think you could just spread that on the nail and polish with it? With just out of that bottle? With the tip cut? It's too runny. You need more control, right? So, and again, it dries too fast. So that's why they sell so many different bottles, because one is thicker. It's a building resin. It's thicker, gives you time to pour or dip or whatever, and allows that product to set into that glue. It's only glue, versus one that's thinner and dries very, very fast, that you don't need to put any product in, which would be your base or your top. Because you guys may not know this, but you can actually use nail glue as top coat. It will dry to a high shine. Drop some nail glue on your table and let it sit there and dry and see if it doesn't cure to a high shine. It will. Now, it will crack and crumble and fall apart if you don't have something mixed in it, which is what we do with dip nails, right? Pouring it in there. So then you also need what's known as a resin accelerator, okay? And a resin accelerator comes in many forms, right? This is a resin accelerator. If you're accelerating something, you're making it go faster, right? Well, this is called hurry up and dry, all right? So you want to spray this on the nail after you put that. Sometimes your nail glue won't set as fast as you want it to. So you spray this on the nail, don't you, afterward? Same thing with resin systems. In this case with S&S, they have, in order to cure the nail, is this sealer dry. Right? So after they've laid down the product, and I'm going to demonstrate all this in a minute, but once they lay down the product, that glue, sometimes it's not dry all the way. And if you don't use a glue dryer spray or an accelerator, okay, you won't be able to file it. And then it just rolls off the nail. So you need to at the very end, spray it with a glue dryer spray. And in this case, they have it in a bottle, And in our case, we have it in a bottle too. We have some glue dryer spray, but y'all can use either one. In some cases, the dryer spray leaves little spots in the nail because you're spraying it. So the brush on method sometimes is a little bit cleaner in the end, all right? Now, know what resin accelerators are? Cyanacrylates. You're going to see that word again, cyanacrylates, glue, okay? But remember, it's got that word acrylate at the end, so they all are acrylates. Acrylics, acrylates. Gels, acrylates. They're all the same. Just come in a different form. All right. Next. What's my next slide? I can't even tell. Okay. Now, how do nail wraps strengthen the nail? So now let's talk about nail wraps. Have you guys ever seen nail wraps before? Never seen them before. Okay. Well, if you see that picture, what does it look like? Well, she's using plastic to press it down. But it's that paper looking stuff. Okay. So, got several different forms of nail wraps. But before I show them to you, using the word nail wrap, because in Nigeria, they don't say dip nails. They call them nail wraps. So nail wraps are literally any method of securing some type of fabric or paper on the nail, or in this case, acrylic, right? To wrap the nail to make it to give it some strength and durability. So nail wraps, if you see here, she's using literally a piece of silk, okay? A piece of silk. And this silk has a sticky backing on it so that you can lay it onto the nail and give it a little extra layer. Remember, what are our natural nails made up of? What protein? Keratin, right? And how many layers of nail plate do we have? Or less, right? So when we start to have less and you want to wear natural nails, that makes your nails thin and kind of wispy, and they're going to bend and all that and break, you may want to do a fiberglass wrap. Or if if you break your nail really low, have you ever broken your nail way down here and you're like, it's still catching on stuff, or maybe it just hurts and you want something to kind of give it a little bit more durability, you can use a wrap. Or so this is the silk wraps. That one in the picture is like this one, okay? Similar to this one. And you can get these on Amazon, all right? These are literally pieces of paper that's stuck. It's got adhesive on it. This one is fiberglass. And you'll be able to tell when you look at them. I'll let you guys look at it up close. But you'll be able to tell when you look at it that it's fiberglass because it's got that cross-hatch look to it, okay? Now this one has a sticky back. You got to cut that one to the shape that you want it to be in. If you guys want to watch what they see, you got to go to the link in my bio, okay? Click the link in the bio. This next one is literally silk, okay? Very, very thin. They call it Chinese silk. It probably came from downtown LA, but that's what it says. China silk wrap, all right? So it's literally a little piece of thin silk. See it floating in the air, okay? And this will be cut to size to put on the client's nail. Now you're probably like, how do you put this on? And a lot of people get so hung up and worked up on, oh, well, how am I going to cut that in the perfect exact? Please don't cut it in the perfect exact shape of the nail. That's not the point of this. This is to put a little drop a patch and call it a day. You remember when you got a hole in your pants and your mama made a patch for you when you was a kid? It's like a little square, like boop. When the hole was round. Same premise, okay? We're just going to try to make a patch with this. Now, you can also strengthen the nails with it. Some people actually use these to extend nails. Very short, but you can extend nails, and it will be the most natural looking, thin enhancement that you've ever seen. And I love using wraps to extend my nail. Anytime I get froggy and start growing my nail, because my natural nails will grow really long. But you break one and you're mad. Right? This is how you're going to fix it. And no one will ever know. I'm going to do a class on how to do those natural nails, natural fake nails that everybody's wanting to do now, that we've been doing for 20 years. I'm going to show y'all how to do that in a separate class, okay? All right, so we got that, silk, fiberglass, okay? So silk and fiberglass. Y'all can see that. The last one I'm going to show you, and this one I'm not going to show you today. I will show you when we do the gel portion of this. But these are your fiberglass strands. This is literally what's on that flat piece of paper. But this is on, and they come in many forms. This one is one big bundle. This would last you your whole life, literally. Okay, they even tied in a little knot for you. These strands, we use these to make nails. Have you ever seen it been done before? Probably seen a TikTok or something with it before. But you could use it with resin, but I like to use it with gel, okay? And I'll show that to you guys when we get to the gel portion of the class. But again, this comes in a big long strand, and then they have them where they come in small little strands like this, and you just cut off what you need. So you got different options, okay? So these are fiberglass as well. A little more advanced technique. We'll get to that. Now, this is your typical back in the day nail wrap system before S&S. Before they had S&S, this is what you got. And it was literally a bottle of glue dryer spray, some primer, some dehydrator, some tips, a file buffer, that was it, okay? So things have changed. Now, if you're going to extend a nail, you can use tips, and then you just brush it on, pour it on top of it. If you're going to do it the clean way, or if you're going to dip, you use the little tiny dampened dishes, which to me, those are a waste of time. Might as well pour it. But when you're building a natural nail, what if you have a client who has natural nails that don't necessarily curve the way you want them to? Or maybe they scoop up a little bit. Or maybe it's kind of weak, they're extra long and they're weak in the middle and you're worried about them breaking. That's when we're going to add something called a stress line or a stress strip. And it's quite literally a strip of fabric that you cut and lay in the area of the nail that is the weakest. And what part of that is the stress area? The apex? Is the
No.
Yeah, what? Don't let me confuse you now. You know what you're talking about. Speak on it. Hold on. So you got your nail, right? That's a long. Hold on, that's too long. Cause I want to build out. All right, so I got my nail right here. Nail here, okay? Look like a nail, kind of. All right. Where's the stress area? If I've got a nail that I'm extending, this is the natural nail. So now I want to extend this nail. I want to extend it out to here. Where's the stress area of the nail? And this is always. Because the apex can move.
Like little.
The weakest part of any nail, especially when it's long, is right here. Why? Why is it right there? Well, Jesus Christ, I just dumped everything out of my bag. Tampons, everything, all over TikTok. My bad, y'all. Why is that the weakest part?
Where it starts with breathing.
Right, because that's where it released from the nail. So now, as soon as it gets there, because think about it, your nail is good and strong and it doesn't break until it gets over the edge. It's like, somebody drove you crazy. Now you took me over the edge. About to break. Okay, so at the free edge area is where, right here, where that nail needs straight. So if I'm going to build, if I want my nail to grow, if you got one of those clients who are like, no, I want to let my nail grow, but it's weak and it looks like it's flimsy and it always feels like it wants to break, you're going to lay a stress strip right here, a stress strip in this area in order to strengthen that nail out. If you're working with a client with natural nails, there's absolutely no reason to do this with acrylic. So again, nail wraps are an old school form of doing things, but you will come into those clients that want you to, that you may want to use it, or they have a look that they're looking for, and this is the best way to do it. The most natural looking nails, I'm telling you, come from these resin systems and stuff like that. Fiberglass. All right. Now, how do you fill it in? You see what she's doing right there in this? Oh, sorry. You see what she's doing right there with that stretch strip? So that's why I was saying how it doesn't necessarily have to fit exact, right? You're just trying to put it right there so that that area of the nail is stronger. Hey, y'all. All right. How often do we fill in dip nails or resin systems or even fiberglass nails as they grow out? This is kind of a trick question because I know the book is going to say one thing, but we're going to talk about real life in here sometimes too, because at the end of the day, y'all need to be nail techs on more than just paper.
You don't fill dip nails.
Generally, you don't. Why? Because it's so easy to get off. It's literally glue. It's like soaking off that's why in your kits today that I put a gel remover tool, or to help you guys start when you're soaking off, scraping away at the product. So what you guys have in your kit is everything you need to do these dip nails today or pour nails today. But when you're removing or doing your maintenance, your fill-in, if you're going to be doing the resin, just the resin or if you added a stress strip in there, you only need to add another stress strip every 4 weeks. Every 2 weeks, you just add a little bit of glue and a little bit of powder. But if you're, trying to keep those nails nice and strong, because how are you gonna? You guys ever seen how little of a fill-in line is? How are you gonna fill that in with a piece of paper? It would be very difficult. Now, let me just put this out here, full disclosure. Why would you put yourself through all of that? This is 2023. I don't know why they still have this chapter in the book other than the fact that we as nail technicians need to know the history of what we do, right? But who is doing all that? When you can just pick up a bead of acrylic and lay it on the back of the nail and call it a day. Whether it's 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, right? So again, this is doing a lot for very little payoff, okay? But this is, again, how we used to do it. We used to strengthen our natural nails before we were putting on acrylic, all right? So this is just for your information. If you're going to be doing these types of things, you may want to do more research on wraps and stuff. But no, again, nobody does it these days. Now, the dip systems. This is the only time, the only way ever, period, that you should ever dip a client's nail. By putting this little bit of product in one of these tiny little cups so that you can keep your, please don't put your nasty finger in my brand new container of dip powder. Now nail techs will argue, but I don't want you sticking your finger in my biscuit. Remember your little brother used to do that? Like, do you want that? And I don't want you sticking your dirty little finger in my dip powder either, because this is going to go on other people. It may even go on me. And I like you, but not that much. I don't want to share your germs. Now, there will be lots of people that argue and say, germs can't live in acrylic powder. Okay. Can they live in sugar? Can they live in flour? Yeah. So I don't care. Talk to somebody else about that. I don't want to argue with you about it. At the end of the day, there's sanitary ways to do things, okay? So if you're going to dip, this is the way we're going to dip. In a small container, not the big container, and then shoving your finger in there. Think about this too. If once you get to a certain point of this container, you can't shove the finger in much anymore. So you can't use all the product, right? How are you going to get it? You're going to maneuver it, you're going to end up doing what I do, which is pour it anyway, okay? So we talked about how much this stuff costs, right? We said $13 for the trio, which is exactly how much these cost. $13.99 for the gel polish, the regular polish, and the powder, the dip powder, that all same color. So if they're charging, or if you're charging $50 for a set of dip nails, this was paid for the first time you used it, plus some. So don't be stingy and do things the clean way. And I'm going to show you guys how we do the pour system, which is taking out what you need, taking 2 cups, pouring it over the nail over and over again with that one client until that product is gone. And if you have any left over, you don't pour it back in here. You throw it in the garbage, because this got paid for 6 clients ago. Okay? So, again, the argument makes no sense to me why people want to just do things a nasty way all the time. Yes, right. So who wants dip systems? Who is the client? Is it me? Is it the 20-year-old? Is it the 60-year-old? These days, it's everybody. Because everybody is, it's trendy, right? Oh, well, dip is better for my nails than acrylic, blah, 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 right? But it is a time-saving service. It's very easy to do. You can do it quick. You don't have to have much skill. And I highly recommend to nail techs who just got out of school, please don't sleep on the dip nails, because you can make a ton of money doing them, and it will get you until you get to the point where you're confident in your skills in laying acrylic and stuff. You can, because everybody's getting them. Who gets them though? More than most of the time. Dip nails with no extensions on it. Older. More mature, older people. What about professionals? Nurses, lawyers, doctors. And the reason why nurses and people in that field, doctors and such, like it is because it's a no-chip system, okay? There's no chipping involved as far as the polish chipping off. The polish color stays on until you soak it off and remove it, okay? So no chip system, and that was the reason why we couldn't wear polish back before they had these. Nurses had to wear clear or nothing at all on their hands because they were worried about it chipping off and getting on their patients or whatever. Okay, so there's many colors to choose from. Again, now these lines have a matching color with every polish they have. So I highly recommend these days, if you're going to be in a well-rounded nail tech and you do everything, just start buying the trios all, because there you will have clients, especially in the beginning, that ask for it. It's a very easy service to do. Again, we didn't have all those colors back in the day. We did not. Okay. Who else might? Because some clients, you're just not going to convince them that gel is and acrylic. There's no, they'll say that gel is better. Oh, gel is better, or acrylic is better. I can't wear acrylic. I'm allergic to gel. I'm allergic to this. Some of those clients, you just don't argue with them. Sometimes you just can't get it through their head, right? And they're going to want these dip systems. So never leave money on the table. That's what I always say. But again, these can be used for other things. What else can you use these for? Outside of just dipping and pouring and stuff. Use it with monomer. You can build nails with it. What else can you do with it? Nail art. You can sugar with it. You can do acrylic flowers with it. So many different things you can do with it, okay? So, just buy it. It's cheap. Buy it. Just get them, all 3, okay? Now, how are we going to do this? How do we do a dip? How do we do dip? Well, depending on the system you're using, they may have different instructions because they have 17 different things they want you to use, all right? But at the end of the day, you only need a few products. First of all, you're going to do a wet or a dry manicure. Which one will depend on your preference, okay? I prefer not to use a lot of water if I can get, help it. Just because anytime you're putting an enhancement on a client's nail, you're sealing that nail down and the product on top of it, and you could have water trapped under there, right? So, dry manicure, hands down, all right? Now, what do you have in this kit that I've given you today? Like I said, everything that you need. Do you see 17 different things on here? No. Why? Because some of the stuff you already have in your kit, and you have it in your kit, you'll have it when you get your kit. But what you need to do this is a dehydrator and a primer. Why do you need a dehydrator and a primer? What's dehydrator and primer for? Just as a recap. Prepping the nails, right? Well, dehydrator does exactly what it says it does, right? It dehydrates the nail plate. So you're gonna want to have a dehydrator, and you guys have in your little, because like I said, I give y'all stuff as we go. In here, your pH dry, which is your dehydrator. You're not gonna be doing. Anybody got free hands today? You got something on yours? You don't. Okay. No worries. Got your dehydrator and your primer. Mine is the All Bond non-acid primer. Why do you need primer? Dehydrator is different from primer, right? Dehydrator dehydrates. Primer is like your double-sided sticky tape, kind of like. Okay, helps the nail stick to the plate. Helps the product stick to the nail plate. Product stick to the top coat. Okay, so you need all that. You need that. The primer. Did I say top coat? I did not mean to say top coat. Makes your product stick to the nail. Okay. The next thing that you're gonna need in order to do this service is you got your base and primer. Is you're gonna need an actual base. Think about I want you guys to think about when you're polishing, whether it's regular polish, gel polish, whether you are doing acrylic nails or gel nails, you always need something that's going to be like a base coat, right? So in in regular polished nails, we use base coat, 2 coats of polish and top. In this case, we're going to do the very same thing. We're going to use, my resin is base and top. So that means that the viscosity is a medium viscosity. It can be used for both. So you need a base. You're going to brush down a base just like you would a base coat, okay? And then you're going to also need your acrylic powder. Now, my acrylic powder can be used for nails, dip, art, everything. It has the consistency that you can use it for all. It's a 3-in-1 powder, okay? So you need this powder to be able to pour over the nails, or dip if you're gonna dip it into a little damping dish, all right? You guys pick your poison. I also put in here a gel remover tool, and the gel removable tool has the little triangle, so you can scrape off stuff. This I should have gave y'all with your last kit, so I just put it in here. Okay, and then also this little duster brush. You're gonna need this to dust off the excess powder, and also resin accelerator. This is in a bottle. This is gonna help the glue resin dry so that you can file the nail when you're done. If you don't use an accelerator, you're gonna think that that nail is dry, and then you go to file it and it's just gonna like rub off the nail, okay? So those are the products that you have in this little set today for you to be able to do this. How many dip sets or nail wrapping sets do you guys have to do that's on your paper? It says nail wrapping. 20? 20. Okay. So each one of y'all are going to get one of these, but before I give it to you, I want to show you how to do this, okay? So, and I want to demonstrate a couple of things, because I want you guys to get a few of these done tonight the dip way. At the end of the day, that's what the people are going to ask for today, these days. They're not going to ask for nail wraps, okay? I will show you how to do them, but no one's asking for that nowadays, okay? I'll move my stuff off of here so I can make sure we get all the good angles. Okay. Put this on the screen. Boop, boop, boop. Yep. All right. Now, you all, and you'll have this, your hand, matter of fact, come on up here. You got a naked hand, so this'll help. Okay? So you can, y'all, it'll be better. And if you want to, Summer, you can come up here. You can, if you can see better right there, it's perfectly fine. Since it's just you two in here today. Okay. All right. First thing first, I need my glasses because I can't see without them.
They're behind your iPad, the blue ones.
The blue ones, okay. Yeah, come on up here, son. Come on up here.
They bad.
They bad.
I just took my acrylics.
That's right, you did have acrylic on. Oh, it said the fan is all in the mic. Ooh, my bad. My bad. Okay. All right. Woo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Make sure we can see real good. Okay. So her nails just had the acrylic taken off. She just, oh, am I way too close? She just had her acrylic taken off of her nails. Okay, so they definitely need a little love. Okay, that should be good about right there. I want y'all to be able to see really good. So first of all, let me go in here, my clean box, and get a cuticle pusher because I want to show you guys the cuticle. Okay, my glasses are so dirty. I don't even know what that is. All right. So when you gently push back, what's this for area right here? This is the what? What is that? That's the proximal nail fold. The eponychium is nowhere where you can see.
Okay.
Okay? The eponychium, if you can see it, you are doing too much. Okay? You're digging way too far. All right? But this skin here is the proximal nail fold. Okay? I'm looking at myself in reflection. Proximal nail fold. Now, when you're pushing back, push back the cuticles. Gently push back, okay? Gently push back. If you look really closely, you see this white, dry skin here? You see that? That is the cuticle, okay? That and that only is the cuticle, okay? So please explain to me why people are cutting all of that. What is the purpose? Why are you in my bathroom? You got your own bathroom at the front of the house. Stay out of my room. Okay? This is off limits. Prohibited. You sound like my mother. Stay out of my room. Why you always want to use my bathroom? You got a bigger bathroom. You always have to. Stay away from there. This area right here, sometimes it gets stubborn and it won't come off the nail plate, and that's why we do wet manicures to try to get it off, or a dry manicure with an e-file, because we can do dry manicures are cool to do with an e-file, not so much to do with a hand pusher and all, because you can't really get that stuff off. So y'all, I got this really cool little handy little e-file from Mr. Johnny the other day. No love. I thought this was the coolest little thing. So I got this and I'm gonna use it because I can't find my other one. All right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you guys a little technique for cleaning up the nail, getting the nail ready for, find my good clean one. Okay. All right. So I got this very thin little bit here. Now this little, I like this little drill, so cute. Okay, so it goes in reverse and forward, and it goes up to 35 and miles per hour. RPMs. All right, so you turn it on, and it's at 10 RPMs right now, which is pretty slow. But it will go all the way to 35. This little pin, and feel it, the vibration.
Oh, it's not.
It's smooth,
It's
right?
smooth.
I thought that was cool. $40.
Ooh.
We're gonna turn it all the way down, okay, till about a 4, 3, go to 2. And what we want to do is we want to take this little thin bit, and see, this is where the Russian manicures get a little out of control. They start digging all back here. All right. This should not hurt. There's a neck. And I'm just gently removing that cuticle off the skin. Again, this is very easy to do with an e-file. Not so easy to do with a hand file if you're doing it dry. Okay, so now by taking that, just dust this off. So now you can see all that cuticle is off the nail plate. That is all you're supposed to be removing off the nail plate. Let me find one. Y'all, this is stop doing this. I watched. I had to cut off YouTube the other day. I got so upset. I kept seeing so much stuff. These little scissors, they are not for trimming the skin, the keratinized. See, because remember we talked about that little flap, the keratinized nail tissue, right? That's dry. That's this. That little white. Everybody wants to cut that. No. Leave that alone. If you lift this back far enough, you'll be able to see more skin back there. If you go back too far, you've reached the eponychium, and that's when you're going to start messing with live tissue that can get infected. Okay, so again, are you laying acrylic back here underneath the PNF? Then why are y'all messing with it? Why are y'all liking these videos of people are just trimming off the whole, just hoofs of net worth of nails off of people? This just makes no sense. Okay, so I've removed the cuticle off of there. But now I also need to remove, because it's a little shiny here. And for me, that means that there's either some type of product on there. Did you put some top coat on it? Hardener. Okay, so I was about to say, I can tell there's some type of product on there. So what I want to do is grab me some acetone real quick and a wipe or a cotton ball and remove that product first. Okay, I should have did that first. All right, so now you can see the nail looks dry and dehydrated. All that product is off of there. So do we need to etch the nail until it looks like a piece of wood that's been hacked to pieces? Do we need to take a sanding band? Now, because I believe in using my e-file, right? But should I be using a sanding band as rough like this on this natural nail? Do I have, here's the question, do I have to?
No.
There's no reason to destroy the nail plate, okay? Remember, we only got 50 layers, okay? So I'm just gonna take a nice buffer here, and I'm going to just buff the nail until the shine is gone, okay? Just buff it. And this is a medium to coarse buffer, but I don't know why it says that, because it ain't coarse. Okay, it's kind of like an oxymoron, a buffer that's coarse. Supposed to buff, but whatever. All right, so always remove the dust off of the nail. If you remove the dust off the nail, then you can see what you're working with, okay? I hope this is close enough. I feel like I'm getting out of the frame. Keep me straight now. All right, so I removed the dust, so now I can see that the nail plate is pretty clean. I've got all the nail plates, okay? All of this around here, this dry skin, because I've seen this too, that you should not be doing. This whole container is all clean. Rink. All of this skin, chop, chop, chop. What do you think is happening when you do that? It's doing a couple of things. It's opening up the client to infection, because now you caused a wound, and for two, you caused a wound, so now next time you come, it's going to be hard and crunchy and dry. So stop doing that. Treat this when you're done with cuticle oil, and continue to treat it with cuticle oil, and you'll have nice, soft cuticles like that, because I treat mine with oil every day. Not like I should have just lied, but no cutting. All right, so now we prep the nail by buffing it and removing the cuticle. What's the next step, do you think? Correct. All right, so now that we have, this is, why am I using those kits? Stuff. Okay, So we're gonna dehydrate, and I'm doing just this middle nail right here. Dehydrate. And how many times do we have to dehydrate? As many as you feel is not gonna hurt nothing, okay? The client, if you do it one time, and then the next time you realize that they got a little lifting, maybe you wanna do it 2 more times. It's not gonna hurt, okay? Dehydrating is not gonna hurt. All right, so we dehydrated. What's the next step? Correct. So now I'm gonna take some primer. Now, notice what I do. I got a little cotton cloth right here beside her nail because I do not want to use a whole lot of primer. I want to dab this off. That goes. So I want to take this little not lint-free wipe and I'm going to dab this off a little bit because I do not want this flooding all over the nail. Why? It's corrosive, whether it's non-acid or acid or not. Okay. So I'm just going to apply. I'm not getting nowhere near her cuticle. I'm just applying it to the nail plate, and you'll notice that it didn't run or anything like that. Okay. I'm going to let that dry. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start putting our resin on. Okay. Now the way that I'm going to show you is the clean way to do it in a dip fashion. All right. I'm going to use a colored powder. This is a bright one. Okay. Pour this into here, and the only problem with this is I gotta pour enough for all the nails, but this is only but so deep. So what if once I start using it, I get halfway down, I still gotta add more, so I'm gonna always have waste. All right. The pour method is when you have 2 of these or 2 little cups, whichever size they are, and you pour one into the other until it's gone. All right. So I'm gonna lay a layer. Now the way you typically do this is, let's just say the client is a regular. They come back, they come often, they want to get their nails redone every 2 weeks, and they're a regular client. But they change their color a lot. Is this white or clear? They change their color a lot. What would the best practice be if you're gonna be removing this a lot? You might want to put a base layer of clear acrylic, so that way if you're doing it the fast way, the way that you would probably do in real life, you'd probably use an e-file to remove most of it and then get down and soak the rest of it off. Well, you want to have a nice thin layer of clear so you don't hit that natural nail, if you can help it. This doesn't take long to soak off, but always removing excess would be helpful, okay? The best sanitary way to pour over is probably using cupcake liners. Well, we don't use cupcake liners. I have these cups in the back, and I meant to go grab some. I'll grab some for you guys, so that way you don't have to. But we're gonna use 2 of these when I do the sanitary way. All right. Now, lay a layer of your clear if you're gonna do it. I'm just not gonna do it without a layer of clear this time. I was gonna use this, but no. So the first thing I'm gonna do, if it was S&S, they would say use their gel base and lay a layer of gel base, right? Well, I'm just gonna lay a layer of my resin. This is where, now you gotta remember that it dries by air, so you don't have a whole lot of time to work with it, but it is a medium viscosity, so you do have some time, okay? So now I'm gonna take this one and pour it over this one. Let it catch into that. Let it sit there so that it can absorb into that resin, all right? Now, I'm gonna sit here for a second because I'm working on 1 nail. But if I was working on all 10, I would just let it sit for a second, dab it, back a little, give her a little spanking, and then move to the next nail. Do the same, all right? Don't do all your resin, right? So now I'm gonna take my handy dandy little duster brush here. I'm just gonna dust that off. Dust off as much as you can because you don't want to get powder on your resin. You gotta do another layer. Now, this is neon. What do you think would make a neon pop if I really wanted it to be like?
Put a white
Boom.
clear coat.
Right. So I would put a white powder under first and then a layer of, instead of clear. That's probably what I would do. All right. So now let's assume we've done all the other ones, right? So it's an instant ruin brush. Yes, instant ruin brush if you put that resin dryer spray on there. Let that be the very last thing that you do, okay? Now I'm going to go in. I'm going to apply a second layer of my resin. Okay. And then I'm going to, again, pour. Try not to have a fan going while you're working. It won't end up all over the table. Let it sit, okay? And it doesn't have to sit long, just long enough. Here's how you know that you don't have enough on there. If you let it sit and now it's wet, now it's still trying to find more powder, you may need to pour a little bit more on there. So just so it can absorb in there, okay? The resin dries pretty quick. Tap it off, okay? Go to the next nail. I'm trying to get the seconds. Okay, lightly remove that. Okay. Oh yeah, you gotta be careful. You should be like, dang, glue all in it. Now you gotta just soak it. All right. Now, I'm gonna do one more layer. Okay, just for good measure, because it's just a little sheer. But we could have prevented that by doing white. This is very easy, is it not? Make sure you polish everywhere that you want this dip system or dip powder to stick. If you don't, you will have a naked spot like I do right here. Okay, so make sure you get that. Pour this over here. Now don't go crazy with your layers, okay? You don't want to end up with bricks on the fingers, all right? Now, someone said, where should the apex be on a nail that barely hangs over the free edge? You shouldn't be able to see an apex on a nail that is a short nail. You know, I had a student that was obsessed with apex. I'm going to say her name, Diana. She was every time I did, because I told her, I said, you asked me where apex is on one more nail. But she would ask, like, for instance, let's look at my nail right here. Okay? Look at this nail right here. Let me tap you off and move you out there so we can see this nail right here. Wait. This nail, even this nail, does not have a humongous apex, does it? Because it doesn't need a humongous apex. I think people get worried about apexes so much, but you honestly, no one should be going up to you and saying, your apex is so high today. No, that's not the purpose of the apex. The apex is literally